I was doing a editing an article for Jimmy Berman over at Phins News, and Jimmy and I are totally different. He's not a football guy who played football. He has different takes than me, but sometimes he just gets how should I say it? He senses the heartbeat of the fandom better than I do. And it's funny because he'll say things in some of his articles that I don't realize I'm feeling, but when I read his articles and I'm editing them, I'm like, man, that's the way I feel. You know, for a long time, I really tried to take it as a coach. And I'm reading his article, it just came out, and it was all about what happened. We had everything going our way, and in a twinkling of an eye, snap of a fingers, we went from top of the world into the garbage can. And I read blogs and I read comments and I see the reactions from my podcast, or sometimes I see them in others and stuff. And the fandom is really not feeling hot, especially the fans that really love Tua. I mean, they're crushed. They love this kid. They were seeing this kid rise up after getting all the stuff said about him, and they were finally able to say, look at him. My guy is going to prove me and himself right and stop all this talk around him. And then it too gets shut down in the worst way. It would have been almost better for him not to perform well than to have this kind of abuse on him. So there's fans that are just miserable right now. And I mean, I understand it too. I kind of compartmentalize everything. And I try to go week to week and see how it goes. I had a low expectation, or a medium expectation coming into the season. I figured we'd be 2-3 after 5 games. And I figured 9 to 11 wins is what we could do. Second in division where I was hoping for, and playoffs. And to be 3-1 is shocking. Now, you can't keep things in a bubble. There's all kinds of stuff around that, obviously starting with Tua. Now, I did a podcast after the loss to the Bengals, and I said I was really feeling good about this team. I mean, obviously not with Tua and all that other stuff and the possible things in the background. I mean, the team itself, the players, the coach. And people are like, why? I don't understand why. In football, the coach is the most influential of all the sports out there. If you've got yourself a quality coach and staff, it is worth its weight in gold to the 10th degree. And what I saw through the first 4 games is, I don't know what McDaniels is going to be in the big game. And I don't know what he's going to do if this team hits a bad run. I always said his personality might not be the greatest personality if things are tough. Because sometimes, we all need that tough guy to get us out of our downward spiral. I don't know. We'll see. But I said, if this guy's winning, it's going to be an accelerant. And not only was it that, but his acumen, his coaching staff's acumen, has not lost a game. It's not been a factor for failure. They have done a tremendous job, and that's an amazing thing. But then, people want to go, oh, do we have the right quarterback? We have the right this, that. No, to me, if you've got a right staff and you've got a team that is heart, that will fight, that can handle adversity, those two together allows you to be successful, not on a consistent basis because you need talent, but you can have talent and a bad coach and no heart, and you ain't going anywhere. We've seen plenty of teams like that. So I still have my concerns for Ross and Greer, but I really don't have them for McDaniel at this stage. Still want to see some other things. But this guy has really, to me, shown a lot of stuff I did not expect. I don't think I've seen maybe 1 or 2 things. There's the goal line situation with the Bills, and maybe it was one other, but he has coached beyond his years. The staff has been extremely coherent and full of consistency. So that is and then the fight. To me, from the fourth quarter of the Ravens game, Bills game, and even the entire Bengals game, this team fought itself like the 300 in the Spartans in Thermopylae. And so those factors really had me feeling good and maybe even magnified in the face of Tua going down. I'm not like some huge crazy Tua supporter. I love the kid as a person. I'm pretty high on him as a quarterback. I was very down on him, drafting him with the hip injury, but I wanted to evaluate him fairly. And as I evaluated him from 2020 on, it just became clear this is a good guy, good kid, honest kid, and he has talent, and the framework's destroying him. And that was it. But seeing a kid go down like that and seeing him on the floor like that, it definitely was an emotional thing, and maybe it made me want to accentuate or wrap myself in the great performance that I had seen in face of adversity. So we're here right now going against the Jets. Some fans are already like, I'm tired of one more dealing with this team. I mean, we don't really know who screwed up, if they did screw up with Tua. But fans are like, man, we've been here before. I'm tired of my franchise sabotaging my team. And I'm tired of all this being high and then getting let down. But the reality is, we overcame some stuff that a lot of people didn't really think we would. And we're facing the Jets to be 4-1 after 5 games. We have to win this one. If we lose to the Jets, they'll have the same record as us, that 2-2. I've said the Jets will be feisty this season. They may be a little bit more feisty than I thought, and they would have the tiebreaker. We cannot lose this game. But it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of mitigating circumstances that are surrounding the Dolphins as they enter into it. And this doesn't knock the Jets. They have been doing some good stuff. And when you see it, this team, you'll find out why this team is so feisty. But they, too, have some serious flaws. They're in year 2 of their build. We're in year 4. And so we should win this game if we've been built right and if we're heading in the right direction. Now, we could lose and win the next couple of games and win change. But this is a very important win. And that's why the next 4 games, we're probably not going to have Tua. I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon. He's going to see a bunch of specialists. He's not traveling with the team. And if you look at Ethan Carter, he was out 3 or 4 weeks with his concussion, and it paled in comparison to what Tua experienced. So we might not see Tua for a while. But, we have to hold out hope that at some point he'll return, and we've got to hold our ground. But even if Tua is down for an extended period of time, we've invested so many picks. We've invested so much money. We're in the 4th year of the build, and we have Teddy, who was a starter. He's able to handle the load, and he should be able to carry us if everything is built right. And this is why we should spend our time not being depressed or being miserable, but really evaluating. And that's the design of the team and the designer. If we can navigate these waters, then we have a team that's been built right. Now, my concern, I'll be honest, I really try to be honest. I don't really like Chris Greer. I think he's really good in some areas of drafting and terrible in others. And the key that he's terrible at is the offensive line. And to me, the offensive line is going to be the firebreaker for disaster. This offensive line has to support Teddy. Has to protect him more than Tua, because Tua's quick release and ability to be mobile has lifted up this offensive line. And he needs a run game as well, because honestly, Hill's now injured with a quad. Waddle's got the groin injury. These guys, you never know when they're going to go down, and you're playing a Jets team that some people might not realize how not good they are, but how much better they are than you think. So it's easy to tune out, but if you love this team, then you've got to love the players. And the players haven't tuned out. They have fought. So we've got to stick together with them and support them. I never tune out from a team. The first year that Flores was here, I had a great time going through. I was celebrating with our 5 wins beating the Patriots in the last week because this team never quit. They were utter disaster and pulled themselves up. And we've seen that before. This team this year, they have fought. Let's stick with them. Now, before I get into the show, which is going to be comparing the Jets and the Dolphins and seeing where the gaps are and what we need to do, going to throw a bunch of stats at you. I want to let you know I'm trying the live stuff again tonight, Friday night at 8:30 my time. And I hope you can show up. I'm going to be there with Tommy from Mafia Sports Report. We're going to talk Dolphins, Bills, and crazy, crazy situations that are going on in the league. It is a really interesting season. I mean, it sucks that our Dolphins are not a fun interesting, but interest is all over. It's a very dramatic season. So I hope we can join me there as I continue to practice and try to get better at this thing. So, and last, just want to say thank you. I got my notes over here so I don't get lost. I'm working on notes now so I can stay on target. I want to thank you for stopping by. I appreciate everything you guys do. Really. Like, subscribe, and especially the comments. I want to give a shout out to you guys and a shout out to my sponsor because without you and without them, show ain't going down, guys. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, we got the Jets next, obviously, this week. Then we got the Vikes, then we got Pittsburgh, and then we got Detroit. And if this team is whole and healthy, I like our chances really a lot against these teams. I think from what I wasn't so certain at the beginning of the season, but seeing what McDaniel's able to do, able to hide certain weaknesses like a good coach and accentuate the weaknesses of others, I liked our chances to take most of those games. But it is shaky right now, guys. There's so many injuries. Tehran is not practicing again. And if he plays, that means he's probably not going to practice next week. And you could see that my man Tehran from the first couple of weeks is not my man Tehran last week. He's starting to really diminish his skill set and his ability to perform through the injury. He's still playing really good, but it's going to sap him. We got to wait till week 11 for a bye. And how long can he keep playing on it, keep getting that foot stepped on, and keep not practicing in order to be that anchor that he is? And now Howard's injured as well. And to me, the two keys was Tehran staying healthy and Howard staying healthy. They were irreplaceable, and each one allows us to play the zero, and the other one allows us to send help along the other side of the offensive line. But now Tehran is starting to need a little bit of help, and this is starting to buckle the system. Both players are going to play, and they're tough guys, and they're going to play until they can't play anymore. But there's clearly going to be diminishing of their skills, and as this erodes, it's going to really get to the heart, the foundation of this team. If we can overcome and just keep on fighting and winning, it's going to be massive. But it's going to be very difficult. Now, on top of that, Robert Jones, our best backup, he's probably not going to be playing either. He's got a bad back or something, hasn't practiced. I don't know if he's practicing today. Byron Jones, who knows when he's coming back. So there is major holes in this thing. But like I said, every team gets them. But the design of the team should be enough that you can withstand these kind of blows. And in a stretch like this, you should at least go 50-50, if not, say 3-1. 4-0 would be mind-blowing. So the Jets, people don't realize, but they've got the 15th best pass defense and the 13th best run defense. And they've played Baltimore, Cleveland, Bengals, and Pittsburgh. Baltimore, they lost 24-9 in week 1. They put up 309 passing yards. Cleveland, they won 31-30. They put up 307 passing yards. Bengals, they lost 27-12. Kind of looks like our game a little bit. 285 pass yards. And then they went to the Pittsburgh Steelers with the 20th best pass defense. And they won 24-20. And Wilson, in his first game back, had 252 yards passing. We are the fourth-ranked passing offense, and we're the third, and they are the fourth. They can pass. They've got some good receivers. I put them down at the bottom end of the list as far as receiving groups, but they're starting to really show some stuff. I still am going to be very interested to see if they can victimize this beat-up secondary, then they really need to I need to put them a little bit higher. They've got talent, they've got youth, and I think they are dangerous. This is not going to be an easy game considering our secondary is beat up. Now, the Jets are much like us in many ways. They've got a quality center and a quality right guard, and they're the bastion holding together, and they got injuries all elsewhere. Laken Tomlinson is their left guard, and I don't know what's going on with him. He's having a terrible, 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 terrible season. So we've got a little bit better offensive line, although Eichenberg and Little are terrible. But the Jets have a quality pass rush. They've got a better defense than you might think. Now, we got Hill and Waddle who are kind of dinged. And you're going to be able to put Sauce and Reed on them. And they're not going to be gobbled up by our guys, especially not dinged up. And that's going to slow down the opportunities and how quickly you can get that pass out. And that pass rush is going to get to us. Now, Sheldon Rankins, Myers, the rookie Jermaine Johnson, and Lawson's back after the knee injury. They're putting on pressure. But the very scary thing for us going into this game is Quinnen Williams, who looks like he's back to being what he was prior in his first season or so. And he's right there with Christian Wilkins. They're two top 10 defensive tackles so far this season. And Quinnen Williams actually has more potential than Wilkins because he's got a bigger frame. And right now, he's got 3 quarterback pressures, 2.5 sacks, and 3 quarterback knockdowns, 2.5 sacks, and 6 pressures with 14 combined pressures. And he works well on stunts. He's quick enough to do stunts, which is very scary for us because Eichenberg does not handle stunts well. And Tehran now is getting that. He's got that bum foot, and you can see him suffering, losing to Powell, and just barely able to hold on. And I watched Williams pick up a sack last week and do some good work. I'm watching a film. This is going to be dangerous for us. Very, very dangerous. Now, when you go look at our offensive line, I want to bring it back to that because we've invested so much. The Jets have invested so much. And I'm going to compare some of the 2 offensive lines because these 2 offensive lines are going to be critical because both the Dolphins and the Jets have a good front, a dangerous front when you pair it up with a porous offensive line. Now, the Dolphins are the 4th most pressured. They give up the 4th most pressure in the league at 27.7%. Jets are 11th with 22%. Now, Miami is the 22nd least blitzed, and the Jets is the 10th most blitzed. That means our offensive line is seeing lots of simple fronts of 4 and 3 rushers, where the Jets, they're bringing that extra pressure. And so that kind of adds context to how they're performing, but it kind of adds negative context to how we're performing. I was going to do offensive line film of the Bengals game, but it says the same thing we've seen for a while. The only difference is you could see Tehran suffering and not being the Tehran you saw in the first couple of weeks. But Eichenberg, he had a block here or there, but for the most part, on the ground, terrible. Little, most part, terrible. Hunt had a good game. He's playing like top 10 in the league, guys. We ran off the right guard, I believe, and we got pretty good run yards off it. It was 45 yards and like 4.6. And there was that one big run where Connor and Hunt got out and sealed it out. They got to the second level and sealed it out. It was nice. We got those 2 guys. And right now, very little else because my man Tehran is a shadow of himself. Guy's a warrior. But he's human. So we run number 1 play action, most amount of plays in play action, and number 3 in RPO. At some point, team's going to be, what I showed you, teams are just not, like I actually didn't show you, I showed the Bills fans. Allen is doing a play action. Even before he does a play action, the linebackers are dropping him because they know he's not going to run the football. And they did that to us last year because they said, well, maybe they will run the football, but they can't do anything with it. And this front is really good. And they're going to be able to let those linebackers play a little bit, creep back a little bit farther to stop the pass, not be so anxious to get up. I mean, maybe they will, but it wouldn't make sense that they do. And this is going to make the passing game harder because we run so many play actions. We run so many RPOs. This is why the run game is critical. But, if you look at our yards before contact, 26th, 2.1. It's the same just about as last year. It's just about the same as last year, guys, which is scary. Scary. Now, it's not just all the offensive line. You got to add in the tight ends. Now, Jets, I think they got 3, I forgot what number they are, but they're 3.1 yards before contact. We're 2.1. And that's a really bad sign for a team that's invested so much in this offensive line. Now, McDaniel, he's done a wonderful job with his staff to scheme things up and get things to happen despite these deficiencies. But ultimately, heart and good coaching is not going to find the right level of consistency without enough talent. And we don't have enough talent so far. We'll see on this offensive line. With all this context and using your eyes, you could see Teddy, who had 14 for 23 and 193 yards, 1-1, wasn't Tua. Tua, as I said, has the quick release. He has his movement skills. He's able to throw with location and accuracy. I did a film study on that prior to this. Teddy is capable, but he's not Tua, and it's going to demand more from this offensive line. This offensive line has been invested with tons of draft picks, expensive free agents. There is no reason they shouldn't be able to support Teddy, even with a beleaguered secondary. Because remember, the Ravens had a beleaguered secondary. Not week 1, but still beleaguered. And they played the Bills tooth and nail. They played us tooth and nail, and they beat the Jets week 1. They still had some injuries coming into the season. So if they can do it, and they can play these teams tight, better teams than the Jets, there's no excuse. We're going to need to take all this investments on offense, and it's going to have to surround Teddy and put points on and force the Jets into mistakes. Zach is playing like Zach, wild backyard football. He's finding his way, but the ball comes off his arm so live, and he's got so much movement. We're going to have to get picks, but we've only got 1 pick on the season where the Jets have 6. So it's going to come down to us having to run the football, draw in those linebackers, like I say every week, but even more so this week. And we're going to have to play smart. But we're not going to be able to do that if pressure is coming in like nobody's business and Teddy's on the run and Teddy's getting sacked. This is why the offensive line is the key of keys. We're going to kind of limit them, the Jets, with our defense. Even we've Holland, we've got a nicked up Howard, Kohu's playing really good, Needham's solid, Rowe, Jones, the front we got. But we're going to have to put some points on and not get turnovers. And we're going to have to control the line of scrimmage to do that. Offensive line. So we can do it. Will we? Won't we? That's what we have to wait and see. But if we don't, it's going to be through the offensive line. If we don't, it's because this offensive line just implodes and is not able to get a run game going, isn't able to give him protection. And if that's the case, the team design is going to have a very big highlight on it saying, red alert, red alert. Oh no, danger, Will Robinson, danger. And I've been saying that since the season started. And some people were right in saying that Applebaum and McDaniel is going to be able to offset it, and they can to a certain degree. But now it's not going to come to the degree needed. Now it's going to come down to horses versus horses, and they're going to have to hold up, and they're going to have to win. Let's see how it plays out and give credit where credit is due. Hang tough. Enjoy the game, Fin fans. Let's let this thing play out, and then we can evaluate. I know it's easier to make a conclusion, jump to a conclusion before it actually happens, but let's see. These players and this staff has earned at least our toughness to hang in with them until all is lost, and maybe beyond. Curtis saying thanks for staying to the end. Please like, comment, subscribe. Go Phins, go Phins. Big game. We're at the crossroads, fellas. Curtis saying catch you next time. Be well. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.